Imagine drifting through the pitch-black depths of the ocean, over a mile below the surface, where the pressure could crush a car and sunlight has never reached. You're barely the size of a grain of rice, and you have one mission hardwired into every cell of your body. Find a mate before you starve to death. This is the extraordinary and frankly bizarre reality of the male anglerfish. And trust me, this story gets stranger with every detail we uncover. Before we dive deeper into this underwater tale, if you love learning mind-blowing facts about the animal kingdom, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We're exploring the weirdest, most fascinating creatures on Earth, and you won't want to miss what's coming next. The deep-sea anglerfish represents one of nature's most extreme examples of what scientists call sexual dimorphism, which is just a fancy way of saying the males and females of a species look completely different from each other. But we're not talking about peacocks having prettier feathers here. We're talking about a size difference so dramatic that when scientists first discovered male anglerfish in the late 1800s, they thought they were looking at an entirely different species, or even parasites. The female anglerfish can grow up to 3 feet long and weigh up to 110 pounds, while the male maxes out at around 1 inch, roughly the size of your thumbnail. That's right. The female can be up to 60 times larger than her male counterpart. Now here's where evolution gets really creative. Female anglerfish are the ones you've probably seen in documentaries or nature books. They're the ones with that iconic bioluminescent lure dangling from their heads like nature's own fishing rod. This lure, called an esca, contains millions of light-producing bacteria that create a ghostly blue-green glow in the absolute darkness of the deep ocean. Recent research published in early 2025 by marine biologists at the Monterey Bay Aquarium Research Institute revealed something fascinating. These bacteria aren't just passively glowing. The anglerfish can actually control the intensity and pattern of the light by regulating blood flow to the lure, essentially creating a Morse code of bioluminescence to attract different types of prey. It's like having a programmable LED sign attached to your forehead. But males? They get none of this fancy equipment. Male anglerfish are born without a lure, with minimal digestive systems, and with enormously developed nostrils relative to their body size. Evolution has stripped away almost everything except what they need for one purpose: finding a female in the vast darkness of the deep ocean. And when I say vast, I mean incomprehensibly huge. The deep sea zone where anglerfish live, called the bathypelagic or midnight zone, extends from 3,000 feet to 13,000 feet below the surface. That's an environment with roughly 330 million cubic miles of water. Finding another anglerfish in that space is like trying to find one specific grain of sand in the entire Sahara Desert, while blindfolded in the dark. Scientists didn't expect what they found next when they started studying how these tiny males actually locate females. It turns out male anglerfish have the most sensitive sense of smell in the entire animal kingdom. A study from the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution in 2024, which was further confirmed with advanced molecular analysis in 2025, discovered that male anglerfish can detect pheromones from females at concentrations as low as 1 part per trillion. To put that in perspective, that's like detecting a single drop of perfume in an Olympic-sized swimming pool, then tracking it back to its source through complete darkness across miles of ocean. The male's nostrils contain specialized receptor cells that are so sensitive they can distinguish between pheromone trails from different individual females, allowing them to follow the freshest, closest scent. But here's where the story takes an even darker turn. Remember, the male anglerfish has almost no digestive system. He can't really eat. From the moment he hatches, he's essentially on a timer. He has maybe a few weeks, possibly a couple of months at most, to find a female before he runs out of energy and dies. It's a biological race against time, swimming through one of Earth's most hostile environments, where the temperature hovers just above freezing. The pressure is crushing, and predators lurk in every shadow. And speaking of predators, let's talk about what's hunting our little male on his desperate journey. The deep ocean isn't empty. It's filled with some of the most terrifying predators evolution has ever created. The viperfish has teeth so long they don't fit inside its mouth and can swim at speeds up to 2 body lengths per second to impale prey. The gulper eel has a mouth that can unhinge to swallow prey larger than itself, essentially turning into a living net. The fang-toothed fish has the largest teeth relative to body size of any fish in the ocean, and despite being only 6 inches long, it's been found with prey half its size in its stomach. For a 1-centimeter male anglerfish, every moment in the open water is a gamble with death. Most people have this completely wrong about the deep ocean. They think it's a quiet, still place. But recent recordings from deep-sea hydrophones have revealed it's actually incredibly noisy down there, filled with clicks, groans, and mysterious sounds scientists are still trying to identify. Some of these sounds come from sperm whales hunting giant squid, others come from underwater volcanic activity, and some, well, we honestly still don't know what's making them. In this chaotic, dark, dangerous environment, our tiny male anglerfish pushes forward, driven by instinct, following a chemical trail he can't ignore. Now, if you're finding this as fascinating as I am, do me a favor and hit that like button. It helps more people discover these incredible stories from the natural world. And drop a comment telling me what animal you want us to cover next. After what might be days or weeks of swimming, the male finally detects something different. The pheromone trail gets stronger. Then, through the absolute blackness, he sees it. A faint, pulsing glow in the distance. This is the moment every cell in his body has been preparing for. He pushes forward with whatever energy he has left, and as he gets closer, the glow reveals its source. She's enormous, at least from his perspective, hundreds of times his size, a massive predator perfectly adapted to life in the abyss. But here's where evolution pulls its most shocking trick yet. When the male finally reaches the female, he doesn't court her. There's no mating dance, no competition with other males, no romance whatsoever. Instead, he bites into her body, usually on her belly or side, and never lets go. His mouth fuses to her skin. Then something truly bizarre happens. His body begins to dissolve. This process, called sexual parasitism, was first documented by Icelandic biologist Bjarni Simonsson in 1922. But scientists didn't fully understand the mechanism until recently. In 2025, researchers at the University of Washington published groundbreaking findings about exactly how this fusion occurs at the cellular level. When the male bites the female, he releases specialized enzymes that break down the tissue boundary between them. Within hours, their circulatory systems merge. Blood vessels from the female grow into the male's body, and his blood vessels connect to hers. They become, quite literally, one organism. Over the following weeks, The male's body undergoes a transformation that sounds like something from a horror movie, but is actually one of nature's most ingenious solutions to an impossible problem. His eyes degenerate and disappear. His fins shrink and vanish. His internal organs, including his brain, atrophy to almost nothing. His heart becomes vestigial, barely functional, since he's now using the female's circulatory system. Eventually, all that remains of him is a small bump on the female's body containing his reproductive organs, kept alive by her bloodstream, ready to fertilize her eggs whenever she's ready to spawn. Scientists call these attached males sexual parasites, but that's not entirely accurate. They're more like permanent reproductive organs that the female has acquired. And here's the really wild part. She can collect multiple males. Some female anglerfish have been found with 8 or more males attached to their bodies, creating what researchers jokingly call a portable sperm bank. A study published in Marine Biology Journal in early 2025 found a female Cryptopsaras cowicii, one species of anglerfish, with 11 males attached, the record number ever documented. But here's where evolution gets even more clever. You might be wondering how the female's immune system doesn't reject these males. After all, our immune systems are designed to attack foreign tissue, which is why organ transplants require immune-suppressing drugs. This question puzzled scientists for decades until a breakthrough discovery in 2023 with follow-up research published in 2025. It turns out anglerfish have evolved a dramatically simplified immune system, lacking many of the genes that would normally cause tissue rejection. They've essentially traded away some of their ability to fight off diseases in exchange for the ability to fuse with males. This makes them unique among vertebrates and has actually sparked interest from medical researchers studying organ transplantation. If we can understand how anglerfish suppress tissue rejection naturally, it might lead to breakthroughs in human transplant medicine. Now let's talk about what life is like for the male after fusion. Is he still conscious? Does he feel anything? These are questions that fascinated researchers, and the answers are both surprising and a bit unsettling. Based on brain activity studies conducted on attached males, we know that the parts of the brain responsible for higher functions, learning, and sensory processing have completely shut down. However, the most primitive part of the brain, the part that regulates basic biological functions, remains minimally active. So in a sense, the male is neither fully alive nor completely dead. He exists in a strange twilight state, a biological machine with one function, providing sperm when the female's hormones signal it's time to reproduce. When the female is ready to spawn, she releases hormones into the shared bloodstream. These hormones trigger the attached males to release sperm simultaneously, which fertilizes the eggs as she releases them into the water. A single female anglerfish can produce up to 1 million eggs in a single spawning event. These eggs float up toward the surface in a massive gelatinous sheet that can be 30 feet long and 3 feet wide, one of the largest egg masses produced by any fish. The eggs develop as they drift upward, and the larvae eventually hatch in the upper layers of the ocean, where food is more abundant. Here's something most people don't realize. Baby anglerfish don't start their lives in the deep sea. They're born in the upper ocean layers, where sunlight penetrates and plankton is plentiful. They look nothing like their parents, appearing more like normal fish larvae. They spend several months feeding and growing near the surface before beginning their descent into the abyss. As they sink deeper, their bodies transform. Females develop their bioluminescent lure. Males develop their enhanced sense of smell. It's like they're shape-shifting to match their environment. Scientists didn't expect what they found next when they started mapping anglerfish populations using new deep-sea survey technology. There are actually over 200 species of anglerfish, and they've colonized nearly every deep-sea environment on Earth, from the Arctic to the Antarctic, from the Atlantic to the Pacific. Each species has evolved slightly different strategies. Some have males that remain free swimming their entire lives and only temporarily attach during spawning. Others have males that attach permanently but retain more of their body structure. And a few species have evolved the extreme sexual parasitism we've been discussing, where the male essentially becomes an organ of the female. But here's where the story gets even stranger. Despite living in one of Earth's most stable environments, where temperature and conditions barely change, anglerfish are facing new challenges in 2025. Deep-sea mining operations, which extract valuable minerals from the ocean floor, are expanding into anglerfish habitats. These operations create massive sediment plumes that can spread for miles, potentially interfering with the chemical signals males use to find females. Additionally, climate change is affecting deep ocean currents in ways scientists are only beginning to understand, potentially altering the distribution of the tiny organisms that anglerfish prey upon. Conservation efforts for deep-sea species like anglerfish face unique challenges. Unlike coral reefs or rainforests, we can't easily observe or monitor the deep ocean. The pressure makes it nearly impossible for humans to visit these depths without specialized equipment, and even robotic submersibles are expensive and limited in their range. A single deep-sea research expedition can cost millions of dollars, meaning vast areas of the ocean remain completely unexplored. Scientists estimate we've explored less than 5% of the deep ocean, meaning there could be dozens or even hundreds of anglerfish species we haven't discovered yet. Recent technological advances are changing this, though. In 2024 and 2025, several research institutions deployed new autonomous underwater vehicles equipped with advanced cameras and sensors that can operate for months at a time, mapping the deep sea and documenting its inhabitants. These vehicles have already discovered 3 new species of anglerfish, including one with a lure that produces red bioluminescence instead of the typical blue-green, something researchers didn't think was possible in the deep sea. The anglerfish's bizarre reproductive strategy also teaches us something profound about evolution. We often think of evolution as a process that makes organisms more complex, more advanced, more capable. But the male anglerfish shows us that evolution is really about solving problems in whatever way works, even if that means becoming simpler, losing organs, or sacrificing individual existence for reproductive success. The male anglerfish has been stripped down to his absolute essence, reduced to a single biological function, and from evolution's perspective, this is a triumph, not a tragedy. It's a solution that allows a species to thrive in one of Earth's harshest environments. There's something almost philosophical about the anglerfish's story. The male sacrifices everything, his independence, his body, his very identity, to become part of something larger. He's no longer an individual organism, but a component of a reproductive system. Some scientists have drawn parallels to how cells in our own bodies function. Your liver cells have sacrificed their independence to become part of you. They can't survive on their own. They exist only to perform their function within your body. In a sense, the male anglerfish has made the same bargain, trading individual existence for purpose within a larger whole. But let's bring this back to something more concrete. What can the anglerfish teach us about life on Earth? First, it reminds us that the natural world is far stranger and more diverse than we typically imagine. The solutions evolution creates are often bizarre, sometimes disturbing, but always fascinating. Second, it highlights how much we still don't know about our own planet. The deep ocean covers more than 60% of Earth's surface, yet remains largely unexplored. A true final frontier right here on our own world. Third, and perhaps most importantly, the anglerfish reminds us that life finds a way even in the most extreme conditions. The deep ocean is cold, dark, high pressure, and food scarce. Yet anglerfish have not only survived there, but thrived, diversifying into hundreds of species. If life can flourish in the midnight zone of the ocean, it makes you wonder what might be possible in the subsurface oceans of Jupiter's moon Europa, or beneath the ice caps of Mars, or in environments we haven't even imagined yet. As we wrap up this deep dive into one of nature's strangest creatures, I want to leave you with one more fascinating detail. In 2025, researchers discovered that the bioluminescent bacteria living in the female anglerfish's lure are passed down from mother to daughter through the eggs. Each female anglerfish inherits her glow from her mother, who inherited it from her mother in an unbroken chain stretching back millions of years. These bacteria have been partners with anglerfish for so long that they can no longer survive independently. They've become permanent symbionts, as dependent on the anglerfish as the male is on the female. The story of the anglerfish is ultimately a story about connection, about how life forms partnerships and dependencies that allow them to survive in impossible places. It's about sacrifice and purpose, about the strange paths evolution takes, and about the incredible diversity of life on our planet. If you enjoyed this journey into the deep ocean, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss our next video. We're covering the immortal jellyfish next, a creature that might have solved the problem of aging, and trust me, that story is just as wild as this one. Drop a comment and let me know what you think about the anglerfish's bizarre lifestyle. Would you make that sacrifice? And what animal should we explore after the immortal jellyfish? The deep ocean keeps its secrets well, but every time we peer into that darkness, we discover something that challenges everything we thought we knew about life on Earth. The anglerfish, with its nightmare appearance and stranger-than-fiction biology, reminds us that reality is often more incredible than anything we could imagine. Thanks for diving deep with me today. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep discovering the amazing world around us.